Back in January of 2013, I was looking to buy a new car. I wanted to buy a Mustang GT. Had to have a 6-speed manual. And I was looking to buy just a base GT. I didn't want to pay extra for a premium. You know, a base GT had air conditioning and cruise control and power windows and, things you need to have, but it didn't have a lot of the niceties that you would get with a GT Premium. The base GT had cloth, manually adjust seats, and all that. But it had the 420 horsepower, 5-liter, and a 6-speed manual transmission. And those were the main things I was looking for. This video is actually a slideshow. I didn't start taking actual video until just a couple years ago. I always documented my projects with photographs, if I documented them at all. But I have quite a few pictures of this project, and I'm going to put them all together here. I bought this 2013 Mustang GT new, and I tried to restrain myself from driving it until I had it fully modified, and I had a pretty good idea what I wanted to do with the car. And by the time I got it in a finished state, I had less than 300 miles on it. Well, the first thing I did with the car was replace the chrome grill pony with a black grill pony. Now the grill is molded for the pony emblem, so you can't just delete it, but I didn't want the chrome emblem, so I replaced it with a black emblem. Now if you squint a little bit, the 2013 Mustang, the body style, has a little bit of similarity to the 67, 68 fastback Mustang. So I decided what I wanted to do with the car is get it to look something like a Shelby GT350. The 68 Shelby had C-pillar scoops, so I had to get some of those. And the stock spoiler on the car was just way too small. So I got a GT500 spoiler for the car. I also bought a pair of aluminum block-off plates for the rear quarter windows. That way when you can't look through the windows into the back of the scoops, and that's the whole idea for that. The next thing I did was add a GT500 front splitter to the car. And, it took a little bit of work to install it, but, it wasn't anything too significant. And after cutting a few pieces, it popped right into place with some factory snaps. I wanted more rumble from the car, so I installed a Roush axleback system. And the mufflers are actually made by Bassani, but it's sold as a Roush system. And you think with an axleback system, you just change the mufflers out, but I ended up having to drop the entire exhaust system to install them. And in the end, the system looks really good, and it sounded great. Next on the list was lowering the car. I hate big wheel gaps in my cars, and I don't want my cars looking like four-wheel drive trucks. So I lower just about all of my cars to get real tight wheel gaps and get the car down on the ground so it looks more aggressive, looks more sporty. So I bought an IBOC kit, and I bought I can't remember what brand it is, an adjustable panhard bar, and installed those. Oh, it's an SPC, I can see there. Installed those parts, and to set the panhard bar, I dropped a string line on each rear quarter and then measured to the wheel and adjusted the panhard bar back and forth until they were the same. The front of the car has coilover struts, so change the springs out in the struts. And for adjustment, I had some adjustable camber bolts. They have like an offset lobe on them, and there's a picture of it right there. And so these offset bolts let you adjust the camber, because oftentimes when you lower a car, it's difficult to get the front end camber in alignment. And then I added a strut brace to tie it all together. And here's the car lowered, and I'm at the Firestone dealer getting ready to have a front end alignment done. And my exhaust tips, my GT500 spoiler, and there the car's on the alignment rack. I bought a Cervini hood for the car, and the 68 Shelby has a twin scoop hood, and this Cervini hood has a similar twin scoop design. You can see my son's Trans Am there in the background. He came over and helped me install it. Had to do a little bit of finagling with the latch to get it to latch, but it wasn't a big problem getting it to fit, and actually the fit was pretty good. I also installed a set of Cervini side scoops, similar to what the 68 Shelby had. And now the car is starting to transform in its look, and I'm getting a little bit closer to what I'm aiming at. And here is the Cervini side scoops. And first I dry fit them and put some tape on the car so that when I pull off the tape backing, I can put them in place, because once you set them in place, you're not getting them off. So I wanted to make sure I had everything aligned where I can set them in place and have them exactly where I wanted them. I found a graphic shop who would do the stripes for me, and I didn't feel it was right for me to put GT350 on there since it's not a true Shelby. So I put GT302 because it's a 5-liter 302, and that's kind of like GT350. And so I keep getting closer to the look I'm after. But obviously the factory wheels, they're just not going to cut it. So I'm going to have to put some different wheels on the car. Chose a set of American racing wheels. Now it's been 10 years ago, so I don't exactly remember, but I think I had a staggered set of 20 by 10s in the rear and 20 by 9s on the front. And I don't remember what the tire size is either. But, Mustangs back in the 60s used Magnum 500s. And these look, a little bit like Magnum 500s. Although Shelby's never had Magnum 500s, but, we'll just stretch it there a little bit. I like the looks of the wheels, and I think they look really sharp on the car. And the last major modification I did to the car was installed a cold air induction system. And you can see the car has factory shorty headers. I chose an air raid cold air intake system for the car. I wasn't familiar with that brand, but it had good reviews, so I wanted to try it. I kept the baffle in the cold air tube, so I didn't have to have my fuel curve remapped. I didn't want to have any warranty issues. And I got the ram air box from Cervini, which attaches to the bottom of the hood. I installed that. And after that, I had to trim the air box on the cold air system, and then applied a seal to the top of the box, which sealed to the bottom of the hood, and then I had a functional ram air system. Well, the car's done. There's my 70 Corvette and my Harley Lowrider. You know, my lowrider's highly modified because if it has wheels, well, I have to modify it. I can't leave anything stock. And that goes way back to when I was a teenager. But here's the car in its finished state. And, you know, once I had it done, like I said, you know, earlier, I bought the car new and I resisted driving it until I had it finished. And so when you see the car in these pictures right here, it had less than 300 miles on it. And I don't know, I think it took me maybe 3 months to get it modified, from getting parts and getting things done. So, you know, I bought the car in January and it was probably April before I actually started driving the car. But I was really happy with how it turned out. I thought it was really sharp, and it was quite the attention getter. I get a lot of thumbs up on the highway, and I really enjoyed the car. I really liked the car a lot. Even though it was a base GT, it was a comfortable car to drive. I drove the car all over Arizona and all over California. Did a bunch of road trips with it and just really had a lot of fun with the car. The 420 horsepower 5-liter V8 and the 6-speed manual transmission made it fun to drive. And, you know, it's just a really enjoyable car. There you see a big old BNSF train going across northern Arizona. And some of the roadside attractions in, you know, northern Arizona up on Route 66. I did a 3-day Route 66 drive, which was a blast. You know, Santa Fe Bridge. Of course, the Santa Fe is now part of BNSF, but there's still a few signs out there, you know, traces of Santa Fe. There's a little girder bridge, and I get on Route 66. And some of the attractions, you know, up in the northern part of Arizona on Route 66, they're quirky and cool. And if you've ever seen the cartoon movie Cars, you'll probably recognize this as the safety cone hotel. And in Williams, Arizona, there's some of those buildings that show up in Cars. There's a box car that, you know, the history of Arizona railroads with Santa Fe and the Southern Pacific, which were Arizona's 2 big railroads. And of course, I love those railroads. And, you know, just traveled all over the place with the car and just had a lot of fun with it. Just had a blast with it. There in Cabazon, California. And, you know, I like to stop at all the quirky places. And of course, there's so much beautiful scenery in Arizona and California. There's a picture from Sedona. And here I'm in Winslow, Arizona. Standing on the corner, Winslow, Arizona. And it's Cool Springs. A lot of fun. Fun car. One of the many cars I've owned in my life. It was a good one.